All right, let's just dive right in. You know that feeling when you're staring at a super jam-packed product page and you're just completely overwhelmed? Yeah, you're not alone. So today, we're going to cut through all that noise and decode one page in particular, the one for the brand new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold7. And our goal is pretty simple. Let's figure out what this phone is really all about using only the info they give us.
You know, every product page kicks off with a huge promise, and this one is no different. Expand what's possible. I mean, that's ambitious, it's bold, and it's really the central claim that we're going to put to the test. So, does the rest of the page actually back this up? Well, let's find out.
So first things first, let's look at the big picture promises. This is the high-level story Samsung wants to tell us, before we get down into all the nitty-gritty specs and numbers.
And there it is. That's the core pitch. The page basically frames the Z Fold7 as the ultimate device for seeing and doing more. It really hammers home this idea of an 8-inch screen that lets you juggle up to 3 windows at once. So the entire sales pitch is built around this one idea: huge, powerful multitasking.
Okay, let's get a little more concrete. Now we're going to talk about the physical device, the design, the screen, the thing you'd actually hold in your hand. We're going to take those big marketing headlines and see if the actual measurements on the page really add up.
So here's the headline for the new design: bigger yet slimmer than ever. It's such a classic tech promise, right? We're going to give you more of what you want, which is screen space, and less of what you don't want, which is bulk. So let's check the numbers and see what they say.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. This chart totally confirms the first half of that claim. The main screen, it's up from 7.6 to a full 8 inches. And the cover screen gets a nice little bump from 6.3 to 6.5 inches. So the bigger part, absolutely true. But notice what's missing? They don't list the weight and thickness for the old Fold 6, so we can't actually verify the slimmer part just from this chart.
But look, when you make a phone bigger and maybe slimmer, it kind of makes you wonder about durability, right? Well, the page sees that question coming. It makes a point to talk about strength, highlighting a new Armor aluminum frame and something called a Corning Gorilla Glass Ceramic 2 display. These are details meant to make you feel confident that this bigger phone is still tough.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about what the Pace is calling the best camera on a Fold yet. This is obviously one of the huge features Samsung is pushing this year, so let's break down what that actually means.
And boom, there it is, 200 megapixels. That number is just designed to jump off the page and grab you. The description even notes this is the first time a 200 megapixel camera has ever been put in one of their foldables, so it's a massive leap in just raw resolution.
This comparison table, though, it tells a really specific story. You see that gigantic jump on the main wide camera? I mean, from 50 megapixels all the way up to 200? But then look closer. The ultra-wide and the telephoto lenses, they're the same. The zoom capabilities, exactly the same. This really suggests that Samsung put all its energy into upgrading that one main camera to get that huge marketable number, while keeping the rest of the system pretty much the same.
So you might think it's all about that big 200 megapixel number, but the page makes it clear that the camera story is about more than just hardware. They're heavily promoting all these AI features, things like a pro visual engine for better detail, photo assist to edit people out of your shots, and even Google Gemini integration. The real pitch here is that the software is just as important as the sensor itself.
Okay, we've talked about the outside, what it looks like, and what it feels like. Now let's pop the hood. This section is all about performance, and our job here is to translate all that technical jargon into what it actually means for, a person using the phone.
So the page mentions this customized Snapdragon 8 Elite processor for Galaxy. What does that actually mean? Well, in simple terms, it means the chip has been specifically tweaked to handle the crazy demands of this phone. Powering 2 different screens and enabling that heavy multitasking that is its main selling point. The promise is just smoother performance all around.
And here's the team that's supporting that processor. The page lists 12 gigs of RAM, which is more than enough for heavy multitasking, a 512 gigabyte storage option, and a 4400 milliamp hour battery. These are the core stats that are meant to back up the claim that this is a true power user device.
All right, now for a really important part of any product page, the fine print. We're going to dig through some of the other details, the practical stuff that sometimes gets lost between all those big, flashy headlines.
First up is the trade-in program. So the page offers up to $600 back for an old device, and it lays out the process really clearly in 4 steps. Get your estimate, reset your old phone, ship it out, and then get your Amazon gift card. It's a pretty straightforward system designed to make that upgrade a little less painful on the wallet.
Now here's something you could totally scroll right past.
there's a section on sustainability. The phone has these Eco Logo certifications, and the page says they relate to using safer chemicals, better manufacturing, and being more energy efficient. For some buyers, this is a really important piece of info.
And this is a big one. What do you actually get in the box? Okay, so you get the phone, a little guide, a SIM tool, and a USB cable. But look at that little note at the bottom. The charging adapter is not included. That is a crucial takeaway. You're going to have to buy one separately or use an old one you've got lying around.
Okay, we looked at the marketing, we've dug into the specs, we've even read the fine print. So now it's time for the final fold, where we pull all this information together to draw a clear conclusion.
Let's just boil it all down to this one simple question. After decoding all the data on this page, what kind of person emerges? Who is the ideal customer that Samsung is targeting with the Galaxy Z Fold7?
The page paints a very, very clear picture here. This is for a power user. It's for someone who's actually going to use that giant 8-inch screen for productivity, someone who really values having a massive 200-megapixel main camera, and ultimately, someone who is willing to invest in the very unique benefits of a premium foldable phone.
And that brings us to our final thought. What's wild is that the Amazon page itself advertises competitors right alongside the Fold 7, like the Google Pixel Fold. So the question we're left with is this. Are these big upgrades, that bigger screen and that single super powerful camera, are they enough to keep Samsung at the front of what is becoming a very competitive foldable market? That's definitely something to think about.